Good evening. This is the last lecture before I go on my trip tomorrow to Israel for almost a month. We will be back in 5 weeks. Bezrat Hashem. I come back on the 24th. I think the next lecture will be on the 20. Actually, it will be on already on February. It will be 5 weeks from now. We're continuing the series, The Psychology of the Mind and the Soul. Today it's lecture number 6. I have to say a few words. People were asking me about what's with the United Nations vote. People pay too much attention to them. The United Nations are a bunch of dogs that barks non-stop. From the day they were made, all they do is go against Jews and against Israel. They have nothing else to do. Every country in the world, hundreds of thousands of people are murdered, butchered, people get raped, people lose their homes, thousands of children die every week. You don't hear one word against those countries in the United Nations. And a country like Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, when there are actually human rights, when Arabs become doctors and judges and lawyers and politicians, and they sit in the Israeli government and they drive fancy cars, and most of them live in beautiful homes, private homes. They don't pay taxes, they don't have to serve in the Israeli army, they only have rights. They basically have almost nothing to give to the government. It's better than Switzerland for them. They couldn't find a better place to live. And that's when they come and constantly harass Israel. And it's all come from one motive. What is it? Anti-Semitism, nothing else. They hate to the Jewish people, they hate to the Jewish state. The United Nations regret badly for allowing the Jews to go back to the homeland. They were influenced by the Holocaust. The whole world was shocked after what the Germans did to the Jews. They killed millions of people. So they actually had one moment that they actually made a mistake of their life from their point of view. They allowed the Jews to go back to their land that they were there for almost 4,000 years. It's outrageous that the Jewish people have to ask permission from the world. The Jewish people have to ask permission from the world to go back to their home. It's very strange. It's mamash such hypocrisy. So let me first of all assure you, we are not in the hands of Obama, the traitor, Hussein Obama. We're not in the hand of the United Nations. We're not in the hands of the Goyim. We're not in the hands of anyone. We are 100% in the hand of Hashem. All we have to do is to worry about our relationship with Hashem. Once we will improve our relationship with Hashem, everything else falls into place. When we don't improve our relationship with Hashem, when the liberals among us continue to betray their nation, continue to kiss up to the world and beg them to make more tortures to the Israeli state, what do you expect from the Goyim? If your son calls somebody to hit you, come, my father is home, it's a chance for you to come hit him. What do you want from the person? First check who your son is. We have people among our nation, to be exact, about half of the people in our nation are liberal traders. That's the right word, without being politically correct. This is people who vote for the lefties, people who control the media, people who brainwash the whole world, that Israel is the criminal here, when every normal person understands that the Palestinians, they are the ones who use terrorism and murder, and they will never leave us alone. And they train their children to slaughter us from age 2 or 3. They already put bombs in their hand and grenades and machine guns, and they step on the Israeli flag. And their anthem in the kindergarten is Itbach El Yahud, murder all the Jews. Nothing to do with the Israeli conflict. Before the Jews went back to Israel, they were still hating Jews. When Hitler were butchering Jews in Europe, the Mufti of Jerusalem, the Palestinian Mufti, the Muslim, met Hitler. How can we help you to kill the Jews when there was no Israeli state yet? Nothing to do with Zionists, or we are against the Israeli state. Nothing to do with that. Just purely to murder Jews. They are nothing better than the Nazis. The Arab agenda is well known. There's not one word to peace. When you go to their kindergarten or their elementary school, If you mention the word peace with Israel, immediately your life is over. In every Arab country, maybe besides Morocco, maybe. You have to check. But every Arab country, if an Arab person will stand up in public and say, it's time to make peace with Israel or with the Jews, immediately he's targeted as a traitor, and his life is over. His life, his children's life. No one over there is politically correct. No one over there is lefty. If someone will speak for the Jews, he will have to have bodyguards for the rest of his life, or will have to hide under the ground for the rest of his life for speaking something positive about the Jews. That's the truth. People that complain about Obama, before you complain about Hussein Obama, the Muslim, complain about the Jews that put him in power and gave him billions of dollars over the years. This is who you should complain about. Not complain about the enemies of Israel. The enemies of Israel, it's like the wolf that comes after the sheep. That's the way Hashem made the world. There are many wolves. The Gemara say, one sheep surrounded by 70 wolves, meaning 70 nations who seek to destroy the Jewish nation. Baruch Hashem, there are some good Gentiles here in America sitting in Congress, in the Senate. They are more clever than many of the liberal Jews who live in this country. Today I heard Huckabee. I never knew who he is until today, when someone sent me a little short video of him. What did he say to the news? He was interviewed on television. He said, this is an absurd. Absurd. What's the absurd? The Jews have to apologize for living in the land that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob gave them, and Judea and Samaria. They need permission to build more buildings and homes for their people that don't have a place to live. When 99.8% of the Middle East is in Arab hands, when there was no Palestinian nation ever until 1964, there was no such thing. All of a sudden, there's a Palestinian nation, bunch of Arabs from different countries, and the world cooperate with this scam and this crime. We don't have to be worried about them. We see 100% this is against logic. When you see that hundreds of hypocrite liars gather together, they all know the truth, they all know there were never anything like that called Palestinians, and they all put a show, they all cover for the crimes of the Arabs. Everyone automatically is always against Israel. You see right now that it's not even them, it's not rational, it cannot be. It's 100% the end of Hashem. And Hashem is doing it to us because it's written in Parashat Bechukotai, if you're not going to listen to me, if you're not going to follow my Torah and my instructions, the nation that lives among you would rise higher and higher, and you will sink lower and lower. You will shrink into your land. You would lose pieces of land. You will never have rest. They will torture you. They will run after you. They stab you with a sword. You will not have a day. You will not have a night. Before you digest the tragedy of the morning, already a tragedy comes in the evening. That's what the Torah says. And this is exactly what's happening today in Israel and in some other parts of the world where Jews live. It's not going to be any better. It's only going to be better if the Jews will wake up and stop being naive and stop dreaming about all kinds of fantasies about peace with the children of Ishmael. It will never, ever happen. Never. Even if you tell them, take Israel, take everything. Take the army, take the planes, take the banks, take all the thousands of buildings, tens of thousands of buildings, take everything. Just let us live here. You'll be the government. In less than a week, every Jew in Israel will be slaughtered. Even if the Jews will say, give us a month to leave Israel. Here, take everything. We'll move to Arizona, to the desert. Maybe Donald Trump will build to us some Trump towers over there. So we live over there, courtesy of United States. What do you think will happen? They'll take over Israel and move to Arizona to slaughter us over there. Every place the Jews lived, always Arabs came to surround them, everywhere. Toronto, Montreal, New York, LA, everywhere you go, right away they come. Why? Who do you think sends them? The Zohar says, the children of Ishmael would never leave the children of Israel until Mashiach come. Never. Never ever. The Zohar says that when the nation of Israel is on the way up, the nation of Ishmael is on the way down. When it's the other way around, that's what's happened. When the Jews are on the way down, they go up. They don't have their own existence. It's like two teams that play in sport. You have the best soccer team in the world and the worst one. It should be 30-0. Everybody knows that the bad team cannot even kick two passes. So there's not one person in the world that thinks that the bad team will win, unless the good team will sit on the floor and not play. 11 players will sit on the grass. What will be the score? 30-0 to the losers. Why? Because the good team did not want to play. This is exactly what's happening here. The Arab have no say. The world have no say. It's all in the hand of the Jews. If the Jews make peace with Hashem, all the enemies of Israel collapse and get destroyed one by one. If the Jews go against Hashem, every loser enemy who has no value become a king. It's all written in the Bible. It's written. I did not write it down. It's in the words of the prophets. The Talmud is full of examples. The Zohar say, Oi, to the nation of Israel, to the day that Ishmael, the son of Abraham from Hagar, agreed to be circumcised. That moment, the decree was that the Arabs would sit like a pin in the neck inside the Holy Land and will torture the children of Sarah and Abraham until the end of days. This was written 2,000 years ago in the Zohar when the Arabs had nothing whatsoever. They didn't have countries, they didn't have kingdoms, they didn't have all the industrial commercial oil, they didn't have refineries that were made by Americans and Russians, they didn't have all this. Maybe more Americans than Russians. They didn't have any of the power that they have today. There were a bunch of Arabs on camels in the middle of the desert living in tents. And the Zohar already told you 2,000 years ago, we will cry to the day that Ishmael were circumcised by Abraham. That these children of Ishmael, the wild beast that the Torah described, will torture the children of Abraham from Sarah until the end of days. But when Mashiach comes, they're going to get 100% what they deserve. They and the children of Esav, all the anti-Semite, hypocrite Europeans, everyone will get exactly what they deserve. And all the good Gentiles, the Gentiles that are pro-Israel, that are pro the Jews, and they're not afraid to say the truth against these monster murderers, they will have such salvation. They don't have any idea, these Gentiles, how much they're earning every time they speak for the nation and the children of God. They don't know yet. Could be that some of these Gentiles are wicked. Maybe they make all kinds of sex crimes, maybe they steal, maybe they do a lot of bad things between them and God as Gentiles. What will save them is being the lawyers and the defenders of the children of God. Because the Torah say, Mevarchecha, Avarech umekalelecha aor. Those goyim that will curse you, I will curse them. And those who will bless you, needless to say, will protect you physically, I will bless them. Meaning automatically, if you want God to love you as a Gentile, if you're clever, you have to give your life for the Jewish nation. Only speak positive about them. Always help them. Just like Trump doing, and Gingrich, and all these people that sit here in a government. Many of them are lovers of Israel. They always speak without being afraid. Remember, they're risking their life. Arabs are murdering people all the time. If you say something they don't like, they come and kill you the next day. These people know, they're aware of the danger, but they still say the truth, even if they are corrupted. Even they do all other bad things in politics. I don't know what they do or don't do. Even if what will save them in a time that they need to be saved will be for standing up in front of this hypocrite world and saying the truth. That's it. You have to know this. Of course, many of these Gentiles, when they hear what I say, those who are the enemies of Israel, nothing is going to change. Obama is not going to change his skin. Nothing is ever going to be changed with this guy. I've been warning from him already 8 years ago, the day he was elected. Many of the liberal Jews did not like that I am calling him Hussein. And I said that he's the enemy of Israel. Many of those people were very angry when Rabbi Aderet from Great Neck said that you have to write his name under the shoes and walk over his name all day. It's the Haman, the Gilgul of Haman, you know. And today, all of a sudden, a lot of these liberals begin to apologize. How did you know that it's so bad? How did you know he's such a traitor? He waited for the last minute. Even the Egyptians that originally brought the vote, they canceled it. They pulled it back. And he went and initiated it. It's one thing, you did not vote for it or against it, or you did not put the veto. Okay, that's already a very big problem. But to initiate it, like an enemy of Israel, where did you find such thing? Besides Jimmy Carter, that was a big enemy of Israel, you never had an American president that was so hostile to the Jews, like this guy Obama. But the difference between Carter and Obama, Carter was too obvious that he's an anti-Semite Nazi. And Obama is double-faced. Happy Hanukkah to the Jews. It's my 8th Hanukkah in the White House. And 2 hours later, going to destroy the state of Israel and the Jews in the Holy Land. This is the double face of the children of Esav, mixed with Ishmael together. But like I say, don't you ever think for a second that because of what they vote or what they speak in the United Nations, the situation of the nation of Israel is going up or down for a second. Even if they'll do something for Israel, they cannot improve our situation. And when they do something against, they cannot decrease the situation. It's all 100% us and Hashem. You understand? And they are only the background. It's all an illusion, like they're doing something. They're not doing anything. It's 100% us and Hashem. We have to create another million Baalei Tshuva in the next year or two. That's it. And you're going to see right away a major change in the way Hashem is treating us and the things that He gives us or do not give us. 100%. It's written in the Torah. People don't read the Torah. That's the problem today. People do not read the Torah. They bark non-stop, but they never read. In the Torah say, all the sicknesses that you have, I am sending to you because of your behavior. And I am your doctor as well. Ani Hashem Rofecha. I'm the only one can cure you. Million doctors cannot do anything if I don't want. And if I want, the worst doctor in the history will cure you. It's all me. You don't understand? He's a puppet. I move his hand, I move his head, I move everything. That's what people don't get. They count on this man and on this president and on the army and the Israeli soldiers. This is all nonsense, all illusion. There's only one thing. Hashem is happy from us or not? And right now he's very unhappy from us. That's it. This is what we have to fix. Let's move on. This was a short, 10 minutes, brief update on the current events. And now we will start, Bezrat Hashem, with the 6th lecture on the series. If you remember last week, we finished the lecture about the need of the criminals, even those who are not religious. They have nothing to do with religion. Criminals in jails in Israel. As Rav Shlomo Hoffman was talking to them for many, many years, the need of the criminals to torture themselves, to purify themselves from the crimes that they committed. It bothers them very much. So they say, we deserve to be punished. Don't help us. Don't tell the judge to let us go. Or one of them that could not write a letter to his parents in Morocco for many years, as they were sending him letters from Morocco, he made aliyah to Israel. He moved to Israel as a teenager. They put him in some kind of kibbutz. He became a criminal without his parents around. His parents were religious in Morocco. And for all these years that he was robbing places and stealing and going back and forth into jails, he did not answer any one of the letters of his parents until the moment that he shook his hand and said, that's it, I'm done with crime. I accept on myself to stop with this. This time I go out of jail and I'm done. I'm not coming back here. That second, he asked him to give him a piece of a paper and a pen, and he started to write a letter to his parents in Morocco. And when he asked him, why are you doing it now? Why it's so urgent? And he said, until now, I couldn't look at myself in a mirror. I hated the way I am. I know my parents are righteous and I'm wicked. How can I even answer my father about his letters? But now, when I accept on myself to be good, it's like a stone falling off your heart. Now you have a relief. Right the way you answer the letters. You understand? So this is a psychological phenomena that exists not only by religious people, it also exists by non-religious people. This is where we finished last week's lecture. Now today, we're starting something a little bit new. We mentioned it in previous lectures, the power of imagination among little children. As I explained in one of the previous lectures, the power of imagination is a necessary power that Hashem created the human being with. Without imagination, life is not possible. Basically not possible. Why? The imagination is a very important tool to motivate and to move the person to do things. But just like you need the right amount of chemical in your brain, too much from it or too little from it, it's called bipolar. It's a bipolar mental disease. If you have too much chemicals in the brain or too little, it makes you either too hyper or too slow, and can even go as bad as life risk, risking the public around you. People that can mamash have an attack. Why? Imbalance of the chemicals in the brain. They have medication for it. But this is what can happen. Same thing here, imagination. Too much from it is dangerous. Too little from it is also dangerous. A person can be unmotivated, cannot do anything in his life, and a person can live in illusion, investing all his energy on illusions and imaginations, and basically messed up his whole life, no marriage, no children, no nothing, because everyone see right away this person lives in a dream. And I met in my life hundreds of people like this, that it took 5 minutes to see that this person is hallucinating, he lives in a bubble, he does not connect his life to the reality of the world. He lives in a, like they say, la la land. You know? He live in a different planet. It's a joke in Israel. When people live in their own planet, in Israel they call them astronaut, meaning astronaut. So one primitive parent came to the parents' conference, and the teacher said to him, Mr. Cohen, your son is an astronaut. Your son is flying in space. So he said, oh, Baruch Hashem, all his life he had a dream to be an astronaut. All his life. In other words, there are people like that. Their feet are not on the ground. They're not on the ground. They see something, right away for them, it's a done deal. Don't worry, Rabbi, you see, I'm going to do this, I'm going to buy the building, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. They already right away became Donald Trump in 2 minutes. What he did in 40 years, he finished in 3 seconds. You already see the buildings and the bridges that he's going to bring. And so exactly what is your first step? Who are you going to talk about funding? You have credit? Do you ever did something like this in your life? Do you know any real estate? Of course not. But he's already living in his own world. There are people like that. Then there are people who are too realistic. They don't let the power of imagination work even a bit. Everything by them is pessimistic and too realistic, and they never ever trust Hashem or have faith to ever do something. By little children, it's a different story than adults. By the adults, it's different. By the children, they all have high level of imagination. I give you an example. Many times you can hear children speaking between themselves. Sometimes it looks to adults that listen that they just really big liars, these kids. Look at this liar. He's this and he's that and his father is like that. The whole conversation that they talk between them, the kids. My father is Donald Trump, brother. My father is Tarzan. We came from Africa. We have a monkey in a house, in a cage. His name is Cheetah. My father was killing all the bad people in the jungle. And he say, my father he became the President of the United States. We're going to go now and fight all the terrorists. My father is a very strong man. 2 kids in a kindergarten. And someone that listens to the conversation, you say, what kind of crooks these kids are? From such a young age, they're already such liars. And the truth is that none of these kids are liars. They actually believe it. They live in their own world of imaginations. They hear things, they hear the parents talk, they hear the teacher talks, they hear all kinds of things like that. And as results of that, they actually believe that they are a part of that story. 100%. Or if they watch cartoons, he really believes he's Popeye. He really believes he's Superman. You see, he's going like that, and he's about to jump from the terrace. Why would he jump from the terrace? Because he really thinks he's Superman. The next day you found out he died. Why? He jumped from the terrace. It wasn't a lie. It was really in his mind. 100%. So children usually up to 4 years old, almost everything by them is imaginations. That's why we got to be careful not to start telling them liars, you're crazy, what you're saying. Let them just grow up naturally. Rav Dessler Zatzal, in his book Michtav Me'Eliyahu, chapter 1, is speaking a lot about this phenomena. He says when a person is born, he's born alone. You are one individual, you come to the world. The baby, once he's born, is egocentric that see the reality based on his own will and wishes. He designed what he wants to see. It's very interesting. And based on that, the reality looks real for him. The kid does not understand that there's a whole different world out there with rules and it's different than his imaginations. The kid is under the impression that everyone around him were made to service him. Everyone around me, I'm the king, and they all have to serve me, starting, of course, with his own mother, that she is very close to him. Therefore, he will wake her up anytime, he doesn't care. He needs her now, he's going to wake her up. He doesn't have the mind to think, it's not fair, I'm waking up my mother. There's no such thing, my mommy is tired, she wants to sleep. By him, she's a servant, you are only here to serve me. You don't deserve to end your own life. They don't understand that. He doesn't understand that the mother have her own life in reality. Only once he becomes 4 years old and older, he begin to understand that his mother is also a human being with her own life, that not always comply with his will and his desires. We, the adults, we don't have any idea to understand how much goes through the mind of the kid and what kind of suffering your kid is going to have when he goes to the kindergarten for the first time. Until now, he was a prince in a house with lots of toys. Everyone serves him. Everyone is his servant, the mother, the maid, everyone. And now you put him with another 30 kids in kindergarten and he has to share a pair of bicycles between him and 30 other kids. And everyone grab it and everyone has to take it. This is mamash like putting him in a war. In a war. For survival. And he has to fight with them who's going to get the ball and who's going to get the bike and who's going to get the crayons. All these things that they have in kindergarten between the kids. He has serious battles, and it's a big torture for him. Because he's a sharp turn from being a prince in a house, then to being one that is basically nothing, 1 out of 30. And now you don't get all the attention. You have to share it with 29 other kids. Until he realized that the world exists with or without him. There's a world out there. You're not the center of the world. Rav Dessler say, sometimes we see a kid giving in to another kid about a ball. They're fighting who's going to get the ball. Then he gives it to him. What happened? What happened in the mind of the kid that he allowed the other kid to take the ball? What is the reason? What do you think? Why do you think he allowed the other kid, an adult, if he's righteous, and he fights with another person on a chair? There's only one chair and 2 people standing. And they both come to grab the chair. A righteous one will say to the other one, no problem, you can go. A wicked one will run faster to grab it before the other one will get it. Whether he's old, young, he doesn't even care. And the righteous one understand, as much as I want to sit now and I don't want to stand an hour in a lecture and break my back and knees, but Hashem is watching, and I'm not going to be a pig. And if this person is older and is going to suffer more than me, let me give him the priority. But the kids is not working like that. 4-year-old kid doesn't understand that Hashem is watching, and I better be a tzaddik and let the other kid use the ball first. So why would he give in? Why would he let him take the ball? Who knows? But he let's go. He gives it to him. And they fight. Right away he gives up. If he wants, he can really grab it. Sometimes even stronger than him. He can really take it. Why would a kid allow him to take the ball first? The answer, not because there is life to other people and they deserve just as much as me. No. It's worth it for me to let go, because on the next time he would let me go. So I'm sacrificing now that tomorrow I will play with the ball. It's obvious in their mind. Now I'm letting you take it. Tomorrow you don't argue with me. Don't want every day to have the struggle.
How come it's not obvious to us? How come it's not obvious to adults?
To adults? First of all, it does happen. How many times you tell someone, okay, you take it today, I'll use it tomorrow. No problem. It happens also. But by kids, that's the only option. There's no such thing, let me be a tzaddik. I let him use it because Hashem said to be Baal Chesed and to share, and not to be greedy, and not to be selfish. And if you give in, Hashem likes you even more. You're not So obviously the kids they're not in a level to think like that. This is a concept of keep for me and I keep for you. It's like a hand washing the other hand. It's a hard and cruel and long process until the kid is transferred from a world of only receiving, egocentric world, into a world that he has to share and to give and to service other. And that his will is not the only thing in the world. It starts between 3 and 4 years old. Even if you try to see by age 2, 2.5, it's not going to be. Only 3 and up. 3, 3.5, 4. That's the ages that the kids begin to understand that. If we would come with our brain and analyze what are the abilities that we have. You want to write on a piece of paper your abilities. You know you're not unable to fly, right? Everyone knows that you cannot jump from the terrace and go like this and land. Right? We know that. You know that you cannot buy the Empire State Building because you barely pay rent in your 1-bedroom basement. You know that, right? If somebody comes and says the Empire State Building is for sale, $500 million. Can you give us a check? Come tomorrow, buy the building. Come on, you're making fun at me. So we understand our abilities, no? If you are 7 years old and they ask you to come play basketball with the guys in the neighborhood, you know that you're walking with a cane, right? So you know that you're not unable exactly to run and to jump. So there are things that it's obvious. However, there are things that is not so obvious. And that's where the imagination play a very important role. For instance, if we come with our brain to analyze our abilities, we would come to a very high level in Avodat Hashem, in following and keeping the laws of Hashem. The problem that we have right now, that the imagination is basically interfering with the truth, with reality. We think sometimes that we are unable. You have the abilities. For instance, they tell you, why don't you go and learn 2 hours a day Torah? Me, learn Gemara every morning? I barely know how to read and write. Ma. In Israel, I never went to school. I always ran out. I did not participate. You know how many spelling mistakes I have? Someone like me will learn the hardest thing in the world, Gemara. Talk to the smart people. What are you coming to me? By me, tell me to clean the synagogue, to make tea for the rabbi every day. This is what you should talk to me. Why are you talking to me about coming to a Torah lecture? Right? This is how some people think. Rabbi, my mind is not working. Because of that, people give up. Sometimes the imagination or hallucination is doing such damage to the person's life, and in reality, he was talented. If he only try and fail few times, eventually he would make it and become somebody very big. So the imagination was mamash, an enemy of a person over here. Sometimes it's the other way around. Person think he can actually be the Nur of Eliashiv when he can barely be a beginner's learner in yeshiva in first grade. That's his real level. But he's imagining, I know the Gemara is so great, I'm going to be the Nur of Ovadia. Yizrat Hashem, 5-6 years, I'm going to learn very good. I'm going to start writing books. Reality doesn't have the ability. That's also very dangerous. A person can put years of his life. Our friend came back. Where was he? No, we have a mosquito here that come every Monday. But since we moved it to Monday, I guess he didn't know the schedule. He found out, I guess. He was coming probably Wednesday and saw the place is empty. Unbelievable. He landed right here on my towel here. Unbelievable. It's mamash. I'm wondering, is a reincarnation of whom? You know that they wrote in Israeli newspaper about this. In Israel. It's mamash on prime time news. The mosquito who shows up every Wednesday to Rabbi Mizrachi's lecture. But he hasn't been here for at least a month since we changed. But now he came back, Baruch Hashem. We're going away for a month, my friend.
Go with you, but not talking.
Maybe come with me to Yerushalayim, top. Anyway, I thought maybe he finishes tikkun. Hashem took him away. You think it's a joke, huh? It's 100% scientific. It's written in the Ari HaKadosh that people can be reincarnated in mosquitoes and in other animals. The soul does not take any room. The soul is not like the body. You're 6 feet and you're 2 feet wide, or whatever your size is, or your weight. It doesn't go by the soul. It's only by body, since it's material. The soul can be reincarnated in a tiny microscopic mosquito. The soul doesn't need to be inside the mosquito. It's enough it's attached to it.
Isn't the soul of an animal and a person different? So how
Of course, the animals don't have a soul. The animal only have nefesh.
So how can a person be reincarnated as an animal?
That's the punishment, that you attach a divine Jewish soul into a nefesh of a dog. It's the biggest torture you can imagine, worse than Gehenom, worse than hell. The soul suffer every second. It's like putting the most educated, elegant person with the biggest lowlife in the same cell in jail, 3 by 3. They have to spend 40 years together. Imagine this. The worst human being on earth and the greatest tzaddik on earth, you put them together in one tiny room. Imagine the torture. Remember the story I told you about the Persian guy that the New York police robbed him. They broke into his store in Manhattan, robbed all the jewelry and the diamonds, claiming they are seizing all the jewelry for money laundering. Then in the end, the city of New York admitted that it was corrupted cops. But in the meantime, he was in jail for a few months with the biggest monster back then on time was John Gotti, the head of the mafia. So he told me the punishment over here was more than when I lost all my business and reputation that I built, and I lost my home, and I almost lost my family, and I lost a lot of my friends, and I lost millions of dollars in money that they stole from me and never returned it, never. The city of New York never paid him back for the jewelry. Besides all these tragedies that I just mentioned, the biggest one out of all of them was that I was with that monster in one cell. So imagine this is what's happening to the soul. They take a soul of a Jew that was wicked and attach it to a nefesh of an animal. It's a spiritual torture, not physical. Some people think, maybe I get lucky, I'll be a dog of a rich queen, or maybe the cat of Michael Jackson, I'll get $20 million inheritance, I'm going to play in a roller coaster over there, in an amusement park that they made for the dog, Maybe I'm going to have a servant with a bow tie taking me to the park every day to play with the females over there. No? Life of some of the dogs is much better than many of the people I know. That will stand up by the subway in the freezing weather 45 minutes by the bus to take it to Queens Boulevard until they get into the train like sardines and get to work, and they have an abusive boss that takes advantage on them, and in the end they make $40,000 a year, which is not even enough to put a bread and cheese on the children's table. What's better, to be a guy like this or to be the dog of Michael Jackson living in a $50 million mansion? Right? Some people think, what's wrong with being a dog? Or an eagle, fly like an eagle, first class, don't have to pay airfare. No? This is ignorance. People think that the punishment is becoming an animal. No. Animal, the Gemara say, Mutar ha'adam min ha'behema ayin. The animals are better than us in everything. Except one thing, the divine soul. That's it. That's it. That's the only advantage we have. And that divine soul is going to be judged when we die. What kind of advantage it is to be judged? Because unlike the judgment in a court here in America or in everywhere else in the world, when you can only lose or become not guilty, that's it. The maximum you can get is just stay what you are. They found you not guilty, and that's it. They don't put you in jail or they don't take away your home. But you can also be guilty. But here in a trial of Hashem, you can either become guilty or you can win the lottery. If they find you righteous, in the same trial, they give you a huge gift. So it works both ways. Since it's 100% in your hand and you can earn it, if you only do the right thing, no one can stop you. It's a guaranteed things to happen. All you have to do is to fight your evil inclination and your animal desires. Once you fight them, you become a righteous person. And then you are guaranteed to earn eternity of pleasure. Guarantee. That's why it's an advantage. In a court over here, you don't even know. You may be innocent and they still find you guilty. You know? And they can mess up your life. Worst comes to worst, they tell you, sir, we find you not guilty, goodbye. In the meantime, your reputation is ruined. You paid $300,000 for the lawyers. Nobody will reimburse you for that. Nobody wants you. Sometimes you already got divorced. Your children stay away from you. Now they're embarrassed to admit that they were wrong. So now the disconnection stay for another 20 years. So basically you already paid the price, even though he's not guilty. But in a trial of Hashem, you are either guilty, or if you are innocent, you're getting a reward. That's the difference. That's why it's an advantage. But in every other thing, the animals are better. So what's the problem over here? We're not talking about being an animal. That's a prize, that's not a punishment. It's the soul that is attached now to the nefesh, to the blood of a dog, which is in a very, very horrible level of spirituality. You put them together, it's a horrible torture for the soul. Horrible. That's what people don't understand. Most of the people don't even understand the concept of reincarnation. Those who do understand, they still don't understand how it works. And when they read some of the things in the Kabbalistic books, they don't really understand what they read. So for instance, one person told me, I read, I'm gay and I will be reincarnated in a dog. No problem, I accept it. I like it, I'll be a dog. What's wrong with the dog? All day enjoying in a park, have no problem, no mortgage, no raising children 20 years. He thought he's a hero. I said to him, no, you fool. That's not the punishment becoming a dog. The punishment is that they take your divine Jewish soul and attach it to a nefesh of the dog. Once it will happen, you will scream from the torture, from the suffering. That's what they don't understand. The dog as a body, of course, enjoy. Eat, drink, have babies, travel, Look at the lion in the Bronx Zoo. 30 years getting a 10. They serve him the food, people come take picture, a model. The lion in the Bronx Zoo. How many people would die to have such life? All day lay in bed on a beach. All day for 30 years. No working, no fighting for parnasa, no lawsuits, no IRS, none of these things that people have. Look at the lion. Next time when you go to the Bronx Zoo, remember me. When you come to the Big Rock, Same lion from the time before I had white hair. Same one. It's the same pose like this. Every few days, he gets up, he makes 4 or 5 steps and lay down again. No? Fantastic, no? The people don't get the point. So, let's move on. So we have here, the imagination can either ruin our life by making us give up. There's no chance for you. You don't have the talent to do it, and you actually do have. Or the other way around. Yes, go for it. You're a genius. You're minimum Rav Ovadia. You're going to be better than him, don't worry. And then you develop high expectation. And in the end, when you become just another student, you are mentally destroyed. Destroyed. Why? Because in your mind, when you started to learn in yeshiva, you saw yourself in 5 years, the chief rabbi of Queens. And another 5 years, the chief rabbi of New York. And another 5 years, the chief rabbi of America. And another 5 years, the chief rabbi of the world. And here you go, 20 years later, you're still a little melamed of kindergarten. You teach them Aleph Bet. You're not the chief rabbi of Queens, and not the chief rabbi of New York, and not the chief rabbi of America. You understand what's happening to people? This is very dangerous if there's imbalance of the imagination. All the desires are very powerful. In the imagination, they sometimes look 1,000 times bigger than what they really are. 1,000 times bigger. When a person imagines, I need this passion, I must have it in my life. Without it, life is unbearable. One example is love. How many millions of movies were made about love between men to women? How many millions of songs were written about it? How many hundreds of millions of people were destroyed because of love that did not work well? How many people lost everything they built in 40 years for 1 month of love with the wrong person and the imagination and what they planned that's going to happen, and in the end they got a knife to the heart and another one in the back and left 40 years of efforts behind them for imagination that in the end explode in their face. How many hundreds of millions like this? Unbelievable. It was all an imagination, illusion. But person can definitely do well without it. All he had to do is to be strong for an hour. The desire would pass and your life got saved. You did not, and now you messed up. That's what's happening. 100%. What's the difference between machalat nefesh and afra'a nafshit? Translation: machalat nefesh, mental disease. Afra'a nafshit, mental disorder. Who can tell me here? Maybe there's some psychologist in the audience. Who can tell me, who can define exactly what's the difference between mental disease and a mental disorder? Anyone knows? I'm sure you heard that more than once in your life, no? All the bombastic professors and psychologists and psychiatrists, they use this a lot. You hear it on the news, you hear it on courts, you hear it in movies, you hear it everywhere. Most people don't know what's the difference. Anyone here knows?
The ability to control.
To control the phenomena? Mental disease and mental disorder. So you say one of them is easier to control?
One has a cause, one does not.
One has a cause, one doesn't. There's not one thing in the whole world that doesn't have a cause. Everything has a cause. Everything. Nothing is caused by itself.
One you're born with and one you're just developing after.
So he say, one you are born with and one you develop over the years. You agree or no? How many people became mentally sick, mental disease, when they got to a certain age? Yeah. For instance, it's very common by people that never got married, especially by women. If they get to a certain age, 55, 60, and they're alone, between four walls, they begin to talk to themselves, collect all kinds of garbage from the street. You come to their house, they don't take showers. It's unbelievable. And then you look at this woman, and I know a few cases like this in Israel, and the people say when she was young, she was the most beautiful woman in Tel Aviv. All these famous people from the television were begging her to date her. She was with her nose all the way up here. She didn't want him, she didn't want him, she didn't want him. And in the end, she did not become younger. The years went by, and then when she stayed alone, her situation only got worse. So it's very possible that people develop mental disease, or perhaps it's mental disorder. Let's not waste time. Let's read to you what's the difference between the two. There are hundreds of mental disorders, hundreds of different ones. It's not easy to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It's really not easy. If you really, really learn the right way, it's a complicated job. Problem today, many of them give very bad advice. Very bad advice. Because they treat the symptoms, they don't treat the root of the problem. Plus they don't have the Torah with them. So they only say what their logic understand, or the professor in the university taught them, which is based on his logic, human logic. Who do you want to rely when it comes to your life? On human logic or on God's logic that made you, and he made your mind? And he actually created these mental disorders and diseases and the way people react to certain traumas. So who do you want? You want the real doctor to give you the right advice, or you want all kinds of people who learned few years in the university based on someone else who learned and someone who developed a theory? Usually it's all theories, and there's disagreements between many of those psychiatrists. And by the way, many of them commit suicide on their own. I don't know if you know. They're very good with committing suicide. And now we are depend on what they're going to direct us to do. How can we rely on this? You know? So the answer is, let's see. So there's hundreds of different mental disorders in the life of a human being. Many of them has no connection whatsoever to a mental disease. Not even a connection. Not that it's not the same. It's no connection whatsoever between this and that, even though it sounds similar. Mental disease is possible when there is an organic, biological thing in the body of the human being. Like I said before, imbalance of chemical in the brain of the human being create manic depression, bipolar. It's a mental disease. As long as the chemical in the brain are not functioning correctly, it will create always the same symptoms. That's a mental disease. Nothing can do. It's a physical thing. The body changed physically. It was in one way, and now it turned into another way. All of a sudden, it happens for different reasons. So it's a biological, organic change in a human body. It depends on material in the body, chomarim, inside the body of a person, in the time of the First and the Second World War, when millions of people were dying, and the battle took place in thousands of kilometers range. They're fighting everywhere. They checked and they found that the percentage of mental diseases in the world, A, rise, B, stay the same, C, decline. Which one of the three is correct? Huh? We have everything here, A, B, and C. Who think that he went down? Two people think he went down? With all the tragedies and bloods everywhere, and people are dying, and homeless people on the street because their house was just bombed. and people went to gas chambers and whatever you saw in a war, is it possible that the amount of mental diseases went down?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. The Holocaust, after the Holocaust, disease was very...
Wait. That's one possibility. Second possibility, did not rise and did not decline. And the third possibility, rised.
Real problems stop the mental problems.
Let me read. The answer is, they found and checked. They checked and found that the percentage of the mental diseases did not rise after the cruel world and millions of tragedies that millions of people experience. It doesn't say that it declined. You went a little bit too far, Mr. Kalish. I'm sorry. That's the imagination, you see? The imagination. Yeah. No, but sometimes the way the person asks the question, it leads you to a place he wants you. By the way, I asked the question right away, 3 people already say probably it's decline if he asks. But that's one way to trick the students. זאת אומרת, what does it mean? There are situations that a person reacts with unnormative behaving, and he has disorders in his behaving. But it's not a mental disease. It's behavior that comes as reaction to a situation that caused this reaction. Caused that reaction. For instance, a brand new baby came to the family. The one that until now was the youngest, 3 years old, is starting to make faces of a crazy kid. Like this, jumping, pretending that he's wounded, laying on the floor, he's dead. Why? Because he's suffering so much from the new star that stole his fame. So his body automatically reacts to it and begin to change and make all kinds of faces and strange behaving. Sometimes he doesn't eat. All kinds of things like this. That's a minor reaction. Some reactions are much more severe. For instance, sometimes it's after major anger. Someone got him fuming. And sometimes is because of major conflicts in his life. For instance, he grew up religious and he met Christine and fell in love with her. And she's the nicest person on earth, literally, an angel. Such behaving, she loves him so much, she's so pretty. She comes from a very educated family and she's gonna be the best woman he can have. But he knows God exists and he gave the Jews Torah. And the boss of the world say, doesn't matter if she's righteous, wicked, doesn't matter anything. You're not allowed to marry her. Now he lives with a serious conflict in his heart. Do I go by what I think is right and what I enjoy to do? Or do I dedicate my will and my desires and my anxious desires and feelings to what God told me? That's a very serious conflict. People can go crazy because of that.
What if she converted?
She converted, that's a different story. Then she became Jewish. We're talking now when she's not converting. She goes to the church every day. So what are you going to do? She believes that that's the word of God, no? She comes every day to the church. But she loves him very much. She loves Itzik. But Itzik has a conflict. Even though he's not the Lubavitcher Rebbe, but he still grew up religious. And he's unconscious. He knows that by getting married, my children will not be Jewish. Basically, I'm destroying myself. It's a conflict between his love and feelings and desires, which everyone wants to experience in his life. It's a normal desire that people have to love and to have someone who loves you. That's everyone that is normal has this need. Just like it's normal that you're hungry. You want food and water and drink and all kinds of things that you need, right? So the same thing, you need all these things. This is one of the things a person needs in his life. It's very healthy for him. But here you go, it's against the rules. Whether you understand the rules, whether you don't understand, it doesn't matter. So major conflict or changes in the atmosphere around him. Changes, things that happen around, in a company where he works, with his family, in a town that he lives, maybe it was all destroyed, all kinds of things that can right away trigger a mental issue. But it's not a mental disease. This is a mental disorder. It could be temporary, it could be very long also. We need to know, to diagnose, when is the behavior is as results of a sickness and when it's a result of reaction. Do you understand now the difference? There is a sickness and there is a reaction. Not all people react the same. One person will see a bomb fall on someone's head in front of him and will have a trauma for the rest of his life. For the rest of his life. Every time he hears noise, gunshot, something, he freezes, he cannot function now for weeks, he needs pills. And the other one, 10 minutes later, already telling jokes. He was upset for 10 minutes. His friend called him up. I send you a joke on WhatsApp. Oh, very nice. 10 minutes ago, a bomb fell on someone's head. Someone you know. 10 minutes later, he began to eat his steak with his French fries. And he called the waiter, why it's not well done like I asked? And the other person is in the hospital now. He needs medication. What happened? Someone I know was exploded by Muhammad. I have no more life. How one person react like that and the other react like that, not always we will know the answer. It's also for sure has a lot to do with reincarnations. Who you used to be, what traumas you have from previous life. Is the depression is a sickness or it's a reaction? If you will diagnose the cause, you will be able to find the right medicine. If you don't know the cause, you think it's a disease, but it's only a reaction, or you think it's a reaction, but it's really a disease, you may treat the person incorrectly.
So it could be both? Depression could be both?
Depression can be both, of course. Depression can be results of reaction to something that happened. He lost a lot of money. Money comes, money go. Give him $10 million deal and see how right away jump out of his pajama and he's back on the street like a tiger. Meaning it was a reaction for losing a lot of money in a business. If his father come and say, Itzik, why are you in bed already a month? Dad, I lost $3 million in the stock market. I don't want to even go to work anymore. Don't worry, son. Come, let me help you out. Let's meet. Okay, listen, I'm going to buy you this hotel. You really going to buy me that hotel? Yes, don't worry about it. You're going to make $100,000 net every month. I buy it for you. You run it? Yes, of course. Immediately comes out of depression. But if the depression is a disease, you buy him 500 hotels, it's not going to help. Do you understand right away or no?
Yes.
There is a difference between the way we're going to treat the disorder and the way we treat the actual disease. Every one of us is imagining. We all have moments that we are following our fantasies. The power of imagination is a natural power in the nefesh of the human being, in the soul of a person. There are cultures who develop the imagination more than others. Different cultures. For instance, one person can imagine that his father is the smartest person in the world, or the most successful person in the world, but it's not a situation of a mental disease, because he's not actually twisting the imagination, the reality. He is only following his own imagination, but the reality doesn't change. Inside, he knows to tell the difference between desire and fantasy to real reality. He can still tell the difference. In one time in Yeshivat Hebron, Shnat Tafshin Aleph, It was about 76 years ago. One of the students told me, in a moment of opening his heart, I'm going to be the new Rabbi Akiva Iger of the generation, like the Gaon Mivilna. I'm going to be the new Rabbi Akiva Iger of this generation. Many of the students has this feeling from time to time that they are going to become the new Gaon Mivilna, or like I said before, the new Avovadia or whatever. But shortly after, they come back to reality. It comes and goes. He thinks gonna be the best guitar player in the world, and after a few months, when he barely learned one song, listen, I'm not gonna be the best guitar player in the world. You understand? Let's give you more examples. From what age we can diagnose a mental disease by the human being? What's the minimum age that before that you cannot actually diagnose it? Who knows?
12?
21.
The answer, 20. Age 20. There is no possibility to diagnose clearly mental disease before age 20. Because until age 20, the imagination is acting very strong upon the human being. And his personality is not mature enough. And his brain is not strong enough. This is turbulence and desires that are rising, very, very powerful desires and imaginations that it's impossible to diagnose, thank you, if it's a mental disease or just coming and going imaginations. It's very possible that it's an imitation of behaving that he absorbed from somewhere else. Or maybe it's an explosion of eternal pressure. That it's also not a mental disease. Before age 20, you cannot detect if it's a mental disease and which one. But after that, you begin to see clearly. The Khatam Sofer, he lived about 250 years ago. He was the chief rabbi of Hungary. Very, very genius Chacham and very holy. Him, his son, his whole family. He wrote in his Halacha book, in Yoreh De'ah, Siman Shin Chaf Vav, that's the source. Provision 336. In Yoreh De'ah, it's on the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch is divided to 4 categories. One of them is called Yoreh De'ah. And chapter 336, right there, this is what he writes. What is the definition of shoteh? Shin Vav Tet Hey. In Hebrew, everybody knows what shoteh is. A fool. A fool. Al tiyeh shoteh. It's a high-class language. It comes from the Gemara. The Gemara says, Cheresh, shoteh vekatan. Someone that is deaf and mute, never heard voice, is unable to speak, is disconnected from the world. Little kid, 4 years old. And someone that is retarded, meaning shoteh, which we have to explain what it means soon. Those three, if you give them a torch, and they went and fired some straw or barn of someone, who is responsible? The one that gave them the torch. They're not responsible for their action. Therefore, if you take a little kid and you give him a torch in a place where there is so many straws around, it's very possible it will even fall from his hand and he doesn't care and he's going to burn the whole place with him together. Everybody understand that, right? A judge will not blame the kid or the deaf and the mute person who are disconnected from the world and never learn to communicate. Or someone that is retarded, which we're going to explain what it means. What is the point of blaming them or punishing them? They definitely won't get any punishment no matter how big is the damage they made. The one behind them is fully responsible. You understand? The question is, what does it mean a fool? Everyone can claim I'm insane. Insanity. Today in a court in America and in Israel and in some other civilized country, they have a definition that it's called temporary insanity. I was insane for 3 hours, that's why I murdered my partner, and now I'm back to normal. Let me go. Of course, it's a little bit deeper than that, but that's the idea here. Claim temporary insanity. I give you an example. If a person saw an Arab stab his parents, lo alenu, mamash, with a knife, and then he went crazy and he took a machine gun and ran into a mosque and started shooting at 50 different people and killed them.
Wouldn't that be similar to like revenge?
Is this something that he was responsible for or no? Or you can come to court and say, the trauma that I just saw, how my parents getting murdered in front of me in such a horrible way, made me lose my mind. I don't even remember that I did it. You can check me in a lie detector machine. And it's gonna in a lie detector, he will answer everything correctly, and he thinks that he did not do anything. That's a typical temporary insanity. Or when you torture a person so much that he loses his mind for X amount of time until the torture stops. Once the torture stops, eventually he goes back to normal slowly. Very difficult to define what is the level of insanity that a person will be dismissed for his actions, and when is the person considered to be cured that is out of that territory. It's very difficult. It's a matter of opinions. It depends which psychiatrist you bring. You bring Mr. Cohen and you bring Mr. Levy. One will say, according to my knowledge and experience, he was not insane enough to be not guilty. And the other one would say, absolutely, he was insane. It would be a crime to put him in jail.
How do you measure?
Very hard to measure, very hard. That's one of the hardest things in trials, that you have to follow the opinion of the expert psychiatrist and psychologist and therapist and all these people who deal with the nefesh. Very difficult. Do you know how many innocent people sit in jail? And how many criminals were released based on the wrong opinion of the wrong professional, of the professionals that came to represent the prosecution or the defense in a trial? It's not an exact science, that's the problem here. It's not math. Math, you know, 2 plus 2 is 4, and it's not more than 5. You know where is the borderline. 5 is the borderline, and Baruch Hashem, I'm under 5 or I'm above 5. It's very easy to answer. You are more or less. It's easy. Nobody can argue. But when it comes to evaluation of insanity, very, very difficult. Sometimes everyone agree. Let's see when. The Khatam Sofer explained what's the definition of shoteh. Shoteh me'abed ma shenotnim lo. Listen to this. He's losing what you give him. What does it mean he's losing? You know how many things I lose every day? You know how many times I lost the key? And I lose the credit card, and I lose this, and I lose that. Everybody lose, no? So we all shotim.
No, mine.
Oh, we'll see. What are the 3 signs of a shoteh that is brought in the Shulchan Aruch? In a Jewish book of law, there is a definition who is a shoteh, who is insane. There was actually a trial in a Beit Din of the Khatam Sofer. There was one groom that accepted money from his in-laws for years. For in-laws, the in-laws were supporting him, his wife's parents, and always invested the money in all kinds of bad investment and always lost. This stock, that one, this merchandise. No matter what, he always lose the money. The parents say, they came to the Khatam Sofer, they say, tell him to give a get to our daughter, This guy is a fool, he's a shoteh that the Talmud spoke about, and we cannot have her stay with such a fool. The parents of the groom, they say, as much as he's dumb, meaning they admit that he's dumb, but if he's a shoteh like you claim, shoteh cannot give a divorce for a woman. She's stuck with him for life. They didn't know that, I guess, the parents of the girl. If you are right, and our son is a shoite, like they say in Yiddish, shoite, that means your daughter will die single. She will never get a get. Why? A shote is not responsible to give a get. His mind doesn't work.
Did he become shote before marriage or
After. It was before, then the whole marriage is cancelled. If it was shote before the marriage never took place. It's mekach ta'ut. You understand? Now,
But even though they had an Adam, even though the Adam is there to witness
the Edim doesn't evaluate his mental state. The Edim just see that he puts the ring on her finger and sign that it really happened.
the rabbi then, no?
No, do you know one rabbi who come to do a wedding and he investigate if the khatan is normal or not? What does he care? He come, he does the ketubah, get his check and leaves. Not everyone get a check. Some people do it for the mitzvah only. The Khatam Sofer investigated the husband. How did he invest all the money that his in-laws gave him? And how come he always lose it again and again and again? Now one time he made money, right? It looks very suspicious. And he decided that he's perfectly healthy. He's not a great businessman. He's not Warren Buffett, let's put it that way. But he's not in a definition of me'abed ma shenotnim lo. It's not someone who loses what he gets. Why? Someone that loses what he gets is after he lost it, he doesn't see anything wrong. Like the kids, that their father give them, let's say, $50, 10 bills of 5, and they stand in the neighborhood, give me, Moshe, give me money. give him five, and very happy. Everyone went, they bought ice cream, and he stand like a fool in the neighborhood, and he doesn't understand that he had money, and now he has nothing, and he gave it to strangers. If someone took it from him, and then he cries, give it back, then he's not a fool. Maybe he's naive, maybe he's not the smartest in the world, yes, but you cannot call him shoteh, because he cries, he wants it back, give it back. But someone that his brain is damaged, and you're going to take from him, does he understand what? When I was a kid, there was one person in the city where I grew up, poor guy, maybe in his late 20s, that he used to come with all kinds of bags all the time. He was a typical shoite. Whatever we wanted from him, he would give us. Let's get food, give us. People took, and he never did anything about it. Whatever they told him to do, he would do. Because it wasn't normal. That's a shoteh. I can take advantage on him in a minute. After he lost, he may even think he made. That he earned actually money. But someone who knows he lost, but he keep losing, that doesn't mean he's purposely losing, or when he lost his investment. Someone that knows that it was a loss is healthy. Therefore, this groom is not shoite, and they cannot have any claim against him.
the wife did not recognize him? The wife who is with this man, she does not know?
Now you're asking how the wife didn't know. I tell you what. Today, Baruch Hashem, people investigate a lot. After such investigation, they don't find all the truth. How many people find out a month after the wedding that the guy or the girl had psychiatric history? Do you know how difficult it is to detect it? If the people that you speak to are not honest, you speak to the neighbor, you speak to the Rebbe of the boy, you speak to people that some of them perhaps knew, they had a wishful thinking. They were hoping that he's cured now, that he will not come back. and they hid that part from you. They actually called in the Torah almost murderers. It's called lo ta'amod al dam recha. You let the blood of your friend spill and you do nothing about it. If you see a person now had an accident, a Jew is laying on the street and he's bleeding from his head, and he screamed to you, call 911. And you look at him and say, wow, you used to be a handsome guy. Call 911, you fool, I'm dying. Wow, look what happened to your head, it's so swollen. Wow, so much blood coming out until he dies. Someone like that, what is he? A murderer, ma. Maybe we cannot execute him, maybe we cannot put him in jail for life. Definitely we don't let him go, right? One thing for sure, to get married, he won't get married. You know what, I take it back. I see bigger fools than that getting married. Yes. To get married is not who you are, it's what Hashem wants. The murderer of Yitzhak Rabin, Yigal Amir, is locked in a small cell, totally disconnected from the world, no news, no television, no nothing, no computer. He was isolated. He's the most hated person in Israel. So many lefties and liberals hate him, and even righties hate him. They killed the Prime Minister Rabin. What is this? A murderer. And he got married to a beautiful woman and have a kid. How can you get married if you're locked in a box? How many of you run from one day to another and from one shidduch institution to another for years and don't find shidduch? Going to this event and this Rav and this Rebbetzin, try everywhere to find shidduch, don't get married. Person is isolated in a box. The media made him minimum Adolf Eichmann. They brainwashed the public in massive propaganda. So the chance that someone like that will get married was below zero. And guess what? Hashem sent him the shidduch into the jail. Hi, my name is such and such. I want to be your wife. And a religious woman. And they were together and she became pregnant and he has a boy. Maybe even more than one, I don't know. Unbelievable. Why? Hashem wanted him to get married. That's what Hashem wants. When Hashem wants, you can be on the moon. He'll send you your kala. Don't worry about it. She will come to there. The Gemara say, one mamzer from one side of the world and mamzeret from the other side of the world, Hashem brings them to one intersection that they should meet each other. Because they cannot get married to other people. Mamzer and mamzeret. Only Hashem can do that. Time is running out. How can we diagnose mental disorder, and what is it, a mental disease? Mental disease, it's something that has to be treated by a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. He should treat him with medication. The world today do not have any other remedy for mental diseases, such as I said before, bipolar, schizophrenia, and other things like that. Only medication can stabilize the situation, and not always. Sometimes the only way to treat it is to lock the person behind bars. Why? It's danger to society and to himself, even to his own parents. The parents begging the authorities, lock him in. It's not normal. He can take a knife and kill us. He already tried a few times. He doesn't control what he does. To cure him? No. So, listen to this. But mental disorder usually can be treated by conversations. You don't need pills. Conversations. Torah lectures. Let him spill what's in his mind and his heart. Immediately he begins to feel better. Slowly you get him out of his depression or sadness or whatever he's in. It has nothing to do with a psychiatrist. It's a territory that needs to be treated by a psychologist or good rabbis who know psychology from the Torah and from the Talmud. In case you didn't know, the greatest psychologists in the history were our sages, Chazal. They made hundreds of definitions about people, about status of people, about nationality of people, about trauma, about certain reaction. If you remember, last lecture was very interesting. I explained how can it be that a person come in front of a judge to confess that he killed someone and you cannot execute him. You cannot believe him. I am the murderer. You're not allowed to believe him. En adam misim atzmo rasha. I say, why? It's very logical. I am the murderer you're looking for. You don't believe him. You have to make a thorough investigation to check. Very possible that he want to die. Very possible he's depressed. Very possible he feel guilty about other crimes he made. And he sacrificed himself now. There could be different reasons, psychological reasons for that. And I explained it in last lecture, number 5. You can watch it and understand. So now, one time I asked one of the biggest psychiatrists in Israel that was very friendly with me. We worked together. This is Rabbi Shlomo Hoffman and the big psychiatrist. Is it really most of the patients that come to you as a psychiatrist, is it true that most of them have a mental disease? That's what he asked him. What do you think was his answer?
No, mental disorder.
The answer of the psychiatrist, I'll say it in Hebrew, then I translate. אגיד לך את האמת, רובם לא חולים. I'll tell you the truth, most of them are not sick. Rav Shlomo asked him, so why do you treat them and not send them to a psychologist that by conversation can get them cured? ומה עם הפרנסה שלי?
Very good.
What's going to happen with my living? So he's going to feed medication and drugs to healthy people, then he should bill the health insurance hundreds of dollars a session.
Make him more sick, making him even more sick.
Making him more sick, of course. What do you think, the medication for a healthy person is helping? Making him worse. But at least he was honest. A crook that confessed honestly. You have things like this. Huh? We all like that. Don't we confess on Yom Kippur on all our crimes? We cheat, we lie, we steal, and Yom Kippur, chatanu, avinu, ganavnu, everything we confess. That's the way it is. Conflict. When a boy does something that is not correct, and the parent tells him, you are a bad boy, is it good or bad? You should tell the kids you're so bad,
No.
or you should not use those terms. What do you think?
You should say that the action does not befit you.
Oh,
That's what the right was teaching.
very good, very good. You're in the right direction. It says you cannot come to a kid, your kid or any other kid, if you're a teacher or whatever, and say to him, you're so bad, you're so corrupted, you're so evil, you're such a liar, you're such a loser, you're such a failure. You can never use those terms. It's mamash like a knife to the heart, which will have a devastating consequences to it. The kid will begin to believe in it. I have no way to correct myself. I am what he says, or I am what my father says. He absorbed it, and it changed not only his conscious, his subconscious as well, because the brain is modified itself based on information, like a computer. You put information, the computer reacts differently. The more information you put, the computer reacts differently. He begins to believe in it. The parents are making him think that he's worthless. He gives up, about life, and he says, if I'm so corrupted, what's the point of trying even to change? I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I'm a liar, I'm a thief, I'm this, I'm that. What's the point of trying to fix one of those lists? I have such a long way to go. If I'm like that, I might as well do whatever I want. Anyway, there's no way to fix myself. People think that by giving them musar and making them scared, you're going to break him and turn him into a better kid, that he will improve. But the truth is that the kid is absorbing the criticism in a negative way. And he said to himself, since I'm such a bad kid, I'm allowed to do whatever I want. And then he begins to rob people in the neighborhood, then he becomes a drug addict, and then he becomes a drug dealer, and then he walks dressed mamash like a horrible person. And mamash, he wants everyone to know I'm the monster of the neighborhood. It should have not been that bad. You could have reached much better results by speaking to him differently. Instead of taking the musar to a negative place, you have to actually do it in a positive way. You still need to give him musar, but you have to do it with different words. For instance, you have to tell him, someone so talented and smart like you, not supposed to do such thing. People that are so smart like you, that Hashem gave them such a great brain, do not get such marks in a test. You don't come and say, you're such a loser, you're such a moron. No. You say to him, a kid like you with such wisdom, not supposed to get 60 on a test. Kids with your talent, with your ability, what Hashem gave you, should get minimum 95. That's how you have to tell them. Meaning, you actually say the same thing. It's not acceptable that you got such a mark, and you better wake up. But you say it in such a way that you give him motivation and hope. If you say it in the way I describe, this is what's going to happen. He's going to say, I'm giving up. That's it. I'm a lost case. I'm so bad, I don't want even to try to change it, because anyway there's no chance. The Rambam says, a person can accept the criticism, the musar, and blame himself that he's not good. Why? Some people, they're not resisting musar. And they think, Ani ish emet, kvod harav. I am sticking to the truth. Tell me the truth in my face. I want to hear the truth. Usually, it's a very good midah that people can accept criticism. And they're not like a crying baby, like in America. Everyone, the rabbi said that this and this and that. Let me butcher him on Facebook. This is usually how it is. It's like kindergarten here. Everyone who doesn't like a minute that he heard on a speech must express his emotions and devastation to the whole world, that they will clap to him. Dweck, you loser. Don't worry, we're with you. Butcher the rabbi. Don't worry, we're with you. Yes, don't cry over there in London with all the liberals around you. We're supporting you 100%. That's what he wants. That's why he cries. Some people say, no, I'm not going to be like that. I'm a man. Give me the punches in the face. I can handle the truth. Very impressive. Or maybe not. Maybe not. How can it not be impressive? Sometimes the people want to hear how bad they are. Guess why? Why would a person love to hear all the negative things about him? Tell me everything. What else I'm doing bad? The Rambam, not me. The Rambam says, person want to blame himself that is very bad, that after that he will be released and can do anything he wants. The more you bury me with words, the more you give me freedom to go and become a murderer. Why? You already got me to such a corner that I'm such a lost case, so now I don't even feel guilty to do what I do. It's the reverse psychology. Look how dangerous it can be. רמב"ם. אם אין אני בן קולו שווה, אז לפחות אהנה מהעולם הזה. Since I don't have anything and I don't have עולם הבא anyway. Let me just do whatever I want. לחלל שבת, robber, all day לשון הרע. What do I care? I'm a lost case anyway. Let me at least enjoy the 40 years that I have left here. It's very common, phenomena. This is the Rambam in Perush HaMishnayot to Masechet Avot, chapter 2, Mishnah 13. ואל תהי רשע בפני עצמך. Don't be wicked in your own eyes. Don't consider yourself wicked, even if you're not exactly Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Why? אם יחשוב האדם את עצמו רשע, if a person would think himself is very wicked, לא תהא חמורה בעיניו שום עבירה לעשותה. At that moment, he will complete with his status, I'm a monster, and a monster is allowed to do anything. No problem. Don't tell me what to do, what not to do. That's how the society created such monsters. Look, cartel, Mexico, how they chop heads, how they torture people. Look at ISIS, look at all these cruel people. People don't become like that overnight. It's usually trauma from childhood. It's going in and out in jail and meeting bigger monsters and constant criticism and everyone tell you how bad you are. And you get to the point that you have to justify all the compliments that you get. They're holding me like I'm the head of the mafia. I'm too conservative. I better explode to the world and show really what they say it's true. It means the Tana in the Gemara, in Pirkei Avot, Al תהיה רשע בעיני עצמך. Don't be wicked in your own eyes. Don't judge yourself to say that you're wicked. Why? Because when a person feels that he's wicked, it makes him break and do all the sins that he can do. Everything. Anyway, I'm a lost case. Rabbi, I'm not religious. How the Chilonim justify their crimes? What do you want from me? I'm not religious. It's the dumbest answer. The dumbest answer. But everyone answer it. Why? What do you want from me? What are you expecting from me? I'm a Chiloni. You expect me not to be Mechalel Shabbat? You expect me not to be a thief? You expect me not to go with a Goya? You expect me, what do you expect from me? Not to care? Are you normal? I'm not like you. I had a student in the yeshiva when I used to teach Gemara years in yeshiva, years ago. And he told me a story. He told me before he became religious, he was working in a pornographic video store in Manhattan. He's a big guy. Like they say in Israel, a real gorilla.
They say that here too.
They said here, I guess he came from here. So, very, very strong. One time he gave me accidentally an elbow to my ribs. Until today I have pain. More than 10 years ago it was. No, I'm serious. Mamash. We have to see what a massive guy this guy is. One time as he was standing in the counter, one Hasidish guy walks in with his beard and peot and the hat. See, Hasid cannot hide his identity. It's supposed to guard him not to fall to the hand of the Yetzer Hara. A modern religious, all he has to do is take off his kippah and he's a goy. That's it. He can do anything he wants. No one would know. Hasid with such a beard, with peot, and forget it, even if he takes the hat off and the kippah off, still see the peot and the beard. Even though today, the goyim also starting to have beards. Maybe Hashem has mercy on the Jews that cannot fight their Yetzer Hara, so now all of a sudden all the goyim will become, Amish. Maybe. But now the idea is that this Hasid walks in to a horrible Sodom and Gomorrah store. And this Israeli guy, his blood was boiling. And he doesn't know he's a Jew. He doesn't have kippah, he's Chiloni. And the Hasid say, what do you have here? How much is this film? How much is this film? So he said to him, we have the special film inside. Come, I'll show you. He took the Hasid inside. He grabbed him, picked him up, banged him to the wall. He said, listen to me. If you're going to come one more time to this store, I'm going to kill you right here. You understand? You're not ashamed of yourself? The Hasid thought he's a goy. The Hasid said, what is your problem? I'm a customer. He said, you're a customer? You want me to kill you right now? You're not embarrassed? With this? You're coming into this place? So he realized he's Israeli. He said to him, but why? You're also a Jew. He said, but I'm not religious. Meaning, for me, it's allowed. You that put the flag and the symbol on you, and you present Hashem as a tzaddik, you're coming into this place? He had the point, by the way. Yeah. But I'm talking now to the opposite side. He can work there, no problem. But when he sees a Hasid comes in, it burns his neshama. Why? Because once you declare, I'm Rasha already, Ani Chiloni, I can do whatever I want. Meaning, what do you expect from me? You cannot criticize me. Do you understand how they think? That's the trick of the Satan. So what if you're Chiloni? You'll be judged for not washing your hands before you eat bread. What do you think? You're going to have discounts? Because you're Chiloni? You're going to pay for every little sin, for every curse, for everything. You're going to pay. Ma. What is it? Oh, I'm Chiloni and you Hasid, so you are going to pay and I'm released and dismissed. This is what the Ramban talking about, based on the words of the Tana in Pirkei Avot. When a person feels Rasha, it makes him allow himself to do anything he wants. That's it, no problem. But if he doesn't think he's Rasha, listen, he knows I'm not perfect. He knows, we all know we're not perfect. But I also do good things. Meaning, let's say that I'm mediocre, 50-50. That's already not such a big Rasha, no? Keep Shabbat, I eat kosher, I come to shul, I put tefillin. No, I fell with Lashon Hara, not watching the eyes, all kinds of things like that. So it's a conflict. One leg is Esav, one leg is Yaakov. One hand is Yaakov, one hand is Esav. Better than both eyes will be Esav and both hands will be Esav. No? Better? No? So he's thinking, since I'm such a Rasha, let me just do whatever I want anyway, I'm a lost case. To heaven I'm not going. I might as well enjoy this world. But I'm not going to enjoy this world and the next world. At least let me enjoy here. But if he thinks I'm good here, I need improvement, of course, but I'm doing also a lot of good. That's a guard. Not to become a real monster, meaning I have a limit. I can't do that. Let's go to Las Vegas. No, come on, I'm religious. I don't want to be there. Come on, big deal. You're modern anyway, ma. You're in New York. What, you're such a Hasidish guy? No. Listen, come on, I know who you are. You're right. I'm far away from being perfect. But I have red lines. I will never break Shabbat. I will never marry Goya. I will never miss a day without tefillin. I'm giving tzedakah every month. I will never cancel it. I have a lot of good things about me. Not everything is negative. That's a guard. Better than 100 sifrei musar. If you already think you're a lost case, what's going to help you? That's it. The Rambam in Shmona Prakim, it says like this. The reason why that a person evaluates himself less than what he is, spiritually, is not because of frumkeit. You know what frumkeit means? Not because he's such a big tzaddik and humbled. I'm nothing, Kvod Harav. Don't call me tzaddik. Believe me, I'm far away from being tzaddik. Thousands of times I heard it. Why? Not always is because you're humble and you're really honest and you evaluate yourself correctly. No. It looks like it, but it's not always like that. Why? It's because of laziness. Who can tell me what's the connection between laziness to a person that evaluates himself less than what he is?
Because you have to work on your midot.
Huh?
You have to work on your midot.
Well, what does that have to do with laziness? Because if he will evaluate himself according to his real talent, it would obligate him to put more efforts. Your brain like you could be minimum Rav Eliashiv. Me? Yes, I saw you. I learned with you Gemara. 20 years I didn't see a student like you. Nah, what are you talking about? I'm a loser. It was a rabbi, but believe me, it was, like I say in Israel, it was a fuchs. You know what fuchs in Israel mean? Lucky. Once in 1,000 times you get lucky. No, Rabbi, no, bemet, I'm not such good like you think. Believe me. No, believe me, no. Like the rich people. Sometimes they say, oh, I heard you giving a lot of tzedakah. He's already thinking, he came to ask me for his yeshiva, right? No, who told you that, Rabbi? I'm not giving any tzedakah. I don't know who made it up on me. No, I heard you're very generous. You're helping a lot of yeshivot. What are you talking about? Not me. Maybe he's my brother, not me. I have a twin brother. Why so worry? Because if he would say, yeah, it's true, I'm a generous guy, what's going to come next? Make an effort to help us also. You understand? Do you see how psychology works? It can be this way, it can be the other way. Very, very thin. Do you know how similar it looks? A guy with strong emunah and confidence in Hashem to the biggest lazy bum. They both look exactly the same. Why? They both look that they're not doing anything to make a living. But one is not doing anything to make a living because he trusts Hashem 1,000,000% and he never worries about the mortgage and about the tuitions and what's going to cost. Never. Because he's in such a high level of faith, he's mamash not worry. And the other one, he just want to lay in bed and let his parents feed him until he's 700 years old. You understand? One guy, his mother told him, Moishi, I heard in America they have a liquid that when the woman drinks it, it makes her look 20 years younger. Takes away the wrinkle, stretch the skin. Find it and bring it when you come to Israel. He said, I'm not coming to Israel, but I'll send it to you by mail. 6 months later, he decided to go to Israel. So his mother, she said, okay, we're going to come to pick you up in the airport. He comes out of the terminal. He looks around. He doesn't see his parents. Then he sees beautiful young ladies in their 20s. Moishi, do I know you? I'm your mother, you fool. My mom? Ma? Wow, you look 25. You look my age. What happened? It's the liquid you sent me. This is how it made you? Yes. Wow, you have a new baby also? Who is this in the crib? She said, no, that's your father. He drank the whole bottle. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Yeah. Tov, let's move on. The Rambam is explaining that if a person will evaluate himself in his real talent and potential, it would obligate him to start working hard because Hashem gave me potential. And I'm not interested to sweat now, to break my head in Gemara. You know how many times I told people with a brain like you're wasting time in college? Isn't it a crime? Do you know somebody like you would sit 20 years in yeshiva, you'll be the chief rabbi of the world. There's no question about it. And I meant it. Not just to get him motivated. Really. We had one guy in the yeshiva, when I was learning, he came from Venezuela. He was born in Venezuela, speaking Spanish. He was the champion of South America in math. From the minute he came to the yeshiva, total ignorant. Never went to religious school, doesn't know anything, just became a Baal Tshuva. He came to Monsey to the yeshiva. While he was learning Gemara as a beginner, in 2 years, he learned fluent Hebrew while he was learning Gemara without going to Ulpan. He finished the whole Shas, the whole Gemara, by heart, he knew everything. In 2 years. No one in the world can do such thing, no one. His brain was so sharp because he was in math all his life, math. Champion of South America, many countries. All the geniuses people came and he won number 1. Every time I needed a source, I used to come to him, Avram, where is this Tosfot? This is how it was. It's like he's seeing it somewhere on the screen. Oh, pull it out, right here. Millions of lines. Everything you know. One time, the Rosh Yeshiva said to him, today I don't feel good, I won't be able to give the class. It was less than 2 years in yeshiva. What normally people know after 2 years? To give a shiur in a high level in yeshiva? He said, would you be able to give the shiur instead of me? He said, okay. Rosh Yeshiva, he couldn't talk. He had problem with his voice, he was sick. But he was sitting on the side. To hear his shiur, he took 7 different Gemarot, all of them open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He gave such a shiur, the Rosh Yeshiva started to cry. He got up after the shiur, he said, I am 45 years learning from morning to night. And I can never make such a shiur, never. 45 years I learned. And he's here a year and something. It was less than 2 years in yeshiva when he gave that shiur. And everyone was like, it's like you want to kill yourself. So I'm going to learn in 800 years, I won't be in his level. This guy. No, someone like that, wouldn't it be a crime to leave him in college? The world has millions of mathematicians. One more, one less, the world will be the same. How many giant chachamim the world has? How many? 500, 1,000, that's it. The whole world. Such potential. He went to yeshiva in Yerushalayim. I wonder where he is today. Probably somebody very big. This was almost 20 years ago. So imagine now add another 18 years to it. 18 years to learning. Imagine what he is now. Probably know the whole Shas word by word without opening the book. Avram, that was his name. Ben Siksu. That was his name, Avram Ben Siksu. He learns in Yerushalayim. The last I heard is in a good yeshiva in Yerushalayim many years ago. People like this, once they discover the Talmud, they can't live without it. The Talmud is like a glove to the hand of the genius people. The more genius you are, the more happy it makes you. It's like mamash, like lehavdil, million alfei avdalot, lehavdil to a drug addict that you bring him the best drugs, unlimited on the table. His eyes coming out, wow. Lehavdil, million alfei avdalot. Someone that has such a brain and you give him as a sugya tova b'Talmud, you know what pleasure it is? When you bring it to the fool, it's like a death sentence. You see by the kid sometimes. The poor kid, you try to explain to him the Gemara. His brain is limited. 500 times you repeat, you explain, he still doesn't get the concept. And then the little kid, younger, 2 years younger, 2-3 times, got the whole point. It's a different soul, different potential. So he's saying over here, he says, if a person will evaluate himself correctly, it will obligate him to sweat and to put a lot of energy, which his laziness hates. That's what's happened. So he rather make himself a loser. Why? Like sometimes the kids say, "Oof, Abba, why are you always calling me?" Because I rely on you, and you 100% that you're always going to do what I tell you. When I give you instructions, I know it's going to get done. So what is the kid saying? Wow, it's better to be dumb. The dumb, you don't tell them anything to do. Me, everything me. Calling me, everything I have to do. This is similar to here. Better I play dumb. Some people, when they go to the Israeli army, they don't want to show their skills. Why? They show their skills right away, they send them to commando or to the Navy, SEALs. Freezing ice, snow, water, going 4 a.m. without shirts into the freezing water, pieces of ice, all kinds of operations, going to the end of the world. Who wants this? So he played dumb. He fell on a test on purpose. Why? He knows that if they're going to know what a genius I am, they're going to send me to Iran to be a spy or something. Who wants this kind of life? You lose a lot of talents because they don't want to work hard. Or they don't believe in a cause. That could be another reason. So he said to himself, I don't have the energy, I don't have the talent, leave me alone, I'm not so great like you think. Why are you thinking I'm something special? Everyone in my class is better than me. Now, it's not because he's humbled. Don't get confused. He just wants to be free. Free from the heavy weight of the burden, of the obligation. Anyway, I want to succeed. And now, he can go down to the beach and lay in the sun like a piece of meat every day, all day, no obligation, no nothing. That's the human being. The parents and the teachers, they have to know that negative criticism destroys the personality of the kid. Take away his desire to activate himself, which is the most dangerous thing. You're turning his switch to off permanently. You will pay for it big time, for your own stupidity or ignorance. Sometimes it's ignorance, not stupidity. Nobody ever told him that. They make the kids see everything black, everything negative. They're actually pushing them with their own hands to become sinners and failures and never to improve. When we scream on the kid that is not good, he begins to believe in it. The kid does not have a self-criticism filter that can tell which criticism is real and which one is not. He absorbs it inside and he believes that that's what he is. I am a loser. I am a murderer. I am a cruel person. I am a selfish one. I am an egoistic one. I am everything. I am ungrateful. You're right, Abba, I am like this. Every teacher and a rabbi, when he says to the kids that they are not good, you don't daven good, you're so lazy, you're always late, things like that rabbis sometimes do, tens of times a week, and plus he goes home and the parents obviously got a call from the rabbi, so they repeat the same thing. He gives up. Say, אני כזה טמבל, מה רוצים ממני? If I'm so dumb, why should I even bother? How would I succeed? I have no control. It's not in my hand. Why should I even try? He convinced himself there's no chance to change. At least let me enjoy this world. I don't care religion. I don't care anything. And from here to become a criminal, it's a matter of weeks, maximum months. That's it. It happens to a lot of Litvish and Hasidish and children of Baalei Tshuva and Sfaradim and all kinds of people. It's not in one group only. It's everywhere, the same thing. People are people, they react the same. So like I said, what's the correction for that? בחור כמוך לא מתאים לו לעשות כזה דבר. A great guy like you, I'm surprised that you're doing such thing. A genius guy like you, getting such a mark on a test, I'm really surprised, to be honest with you. A nice Baal Midot like you, with such great personality, I'm in shock that you had a fight with that kid. I would never believe. You actually, by criticizing him, you're building him. It's mamash amazing. Look, you can actually say the same thing, and how you say it, no wonder the Gemara says, Chaim va'amavet beyad halashon. Life and death depend on the tongue, on the mouth, on the lips. Rashi in Masechet Kiddushin, Al tachbid yisurin v'tochachot. It's important to rebuke people, yes. Only that, of course not. Develop the love, develop the positive also, not only negative. All day negative, person will kill himself. People think when a kid is violent and behaves bad, so you have to rebuke him in such a way, to give him such a musar and explain to him in details how horrible he is, what a monster he became. Rashi said, younger than 16, don't give him any musar. He cannot understand musar anyway, younger than 16. Lo kolet ma sheta metif lo. But you preach to him, will come in and go out here. He has no da'at to accept rebukes. His mental state is not mature yet. Even sometimes you come to religion homes and the father is very pedantic, like a SS soldier. Every little thing must be in a place, and if you do something a little bit wrong, right away pull up his machine gun and kill you. Well, sometimes you come to religious homes, the kids stand, they're all dressed, top of the line, in a Shabbos table, everyone like a soldier. The girl brings this, the guy clean. It looks, wow, what a family. I would die to have such a family. Kids like that, look at my kids. Ay, ay, ay. Barbarics like this, and look at these religious kids. In reality, your kids is much better than them. They are trained soldiers with a gun pointing to their head. That's why they put the act. But they're very bitter and suffering every second inside. Soon as they will be independent and they will be released from the authority of the general, they will explode to become the biggest monsters that you will ever see. That's explaining why there are thousands of religious kids off the derech. Kids are not animal. Even animal you cannot train. How many tried to train the lions and this? After 20 years he ate their head off. It's impossible. There is a difference of raising healthy children that are behaving correctly because that's the right way, or to train people that will die from fear. And everything is because of fear. My father will insult me now, he will attack me now, he will hit me now, he will take away this from me, and he will do this to me. I better behave. It has to be a combination of lots of love that you give to those children, build their confidence. It doesn't mean you have to spoil them and give them everything they want, no. You still can criticize them, but the way I said before. While you criticize them, speaks in a positive way, meaning compliment them first. You know, I'm very happy from your marks in class. I know you're doing very well in school. I heard the other day that you helped that woman over there when she had problems and you volunteer. Anything good you can tell him, that's first, to soften him up. And now when you come to the punchline, even then you have to say it in a positive way. You know, after I see such a guy like you, how you learn, how you behave, how you wake up every morning on your own, and you're always on time in shul, you're always in the bus on time. You, Baruch Hashem, for every 1,000 kids, one of them is like you. That's why I'm shocked that someone like you would say such a thing to his Rebbe. I cannot believe it. To tell you the truth, I really don't believe that you actually said such thing. Now he comes out of the conversation. In one hand, he's embarrassed. How did I really do such thing? And now what absorbs in his mind is how a great guy like me dare to do such a thing. On the other hand, you loser, shame on you. That's how I raised you. You don't deserve to be my son. Believe me, if I could, I would throw you out of here. That's how they talk to them. You're lucky you're alive, this, that, and put him all his confidence down. Now go and try to save him now. It's similar to a man and a woman. A man that has a wife can destroy her in 1 minute conversation for 20 years. He tells her, look how you gain weight. Look how you don't take care of yourself. I'm disgusted by the way you became. He takes away all her confidence. On the other hand, he can tell her, I see, Baruch Hashem, your appetite grew a little bit, but you know what? You're very pretty with some few pounds on. No, I'm going to worry on, I'm going to take care of it. In a positive way, or better than someone else would say it, not you. Sensitive issue. Sensitive issue. Or you want to criticize her cooking. She does something you don't like. You know, it's actually really nice. You made all this and you bothered so much and you cooked and this. But to tell you the truth, I like the other dish better. They don't say it's not good. You say it's delicious, amazing. But you know the thing you made 2 days ago? It's actually even better. She got the point. She won't make the same chicken anymore. But she still go to bed very happy. Even that he likes. Same thing, but in a clever, positive way. You gotta change the system. Don't change the system, you pay very heavy prices. Trillions of dollars are going to rehabs for Jewish children. Trillions. Every month, 20, 30,000, 80,000 every month. Rehabs. Why so many kids from religious homes went to drugs? Many times it's their rabbis and their parents. Not always. Sometimes it's a dirty soul. That's it. It's a reincarnation of a very wicked person. What can you do? Sometimes Hashem take wicked people and send them to good homes. Where else they will be saved? You put them in Shenkin in Tel Aviv, in a gay bars over there, that he has 2 fathers. Where else is going to be a tzaddik? You put him by a house of a good rabbi, somebody tzaddik, Talmid Chacham, that will try to give him the right education. And he tried and it didn't work. Because he's a Rasha, what can he do? Yitzchak had Esav, Hashem sent him Esav. Esav was wicked from his mother's womb already. It wasn't Yitzchak's fault, for sure. He had Yaakov also. Hashem needed to send Esav to do tikkun. Where will he send him? To Nimrod? That Nimrod will be his father. Matzah min et mino. Together they'll destroy the world. Right? Tony had Vini. Tony the mafiosa as a son, he took over the mafia. Increased the murders and the activity by 1,000%. His father was a gangster, but he's nothing compared to the son. The son is a real fear. That's what they brag about. Who is a bigger mafiosa? So, we have a question to ask. The Gemara has an argument from what age you can rebuke the kids. One opinion from 16 to 22 that he begin to digest rebukes. Second opinion from 18 to 24. That's the ages. Meaning, one say you start at 16, one say you start at 18. And this was 2,000 years ago. 16 of 2,000 years ago, it's 30 today. In a mental state of a person. Do you know what a kid 6 years old knew 2,000 years ago? The whole Torah. In the time of King Chizkiyahu, not one kid they found all over Israel that didn't know the whole Torah, 6 years old. People used to get married at 13. They have children. By 16, you already have 2-3 kids. What do you think? The Gemara say when your child is 6 years old, you're not obligated to feed him anymore. If you have a 6-year-old kid today and you don't feed him, in less than a week he'll be dead. That's I won't be able to even look in the garbage. He's 6 years old. Even for that he doesn't have the brain. 6 years old, first grade. Or pre-1A, I don't know. First grade, he knows how to find food in the garbage or to sleep on the street. How would he survive? But the Gemara say, the Gemara is the words of Hashem. It's based on the words of Hashem. What, the Chachamim today would say that you can leave your kids from 6 years old? Even 18 they cannot manage today. You know? So you see that the mental state and the status of the people is totally different today than what it used to be. Totally. Even today there's huge differences between girls. Take a spoiled, what they say in America, Jap. You know what Jap is? Jewish American princess. Grew up in a $10 million home, 5 maids. God forbid that her mother and father will ever tell her the word clean. God forbid she ever did something in her life besides going shopping. Someone like that, compared to a Hasidic girl in Williamsburg or Monroe or I don't know where, that already age 11, 12, she runs the whole house. Her mother go to work with the father, she runs, she change diapers, she bake chalot for Shabbat, she cook all the gefilte fish, everything. I had neighbors like this. There was a girl, Shandy. She was between 11 and 12. One time on Friday, I smell fire. Fire. Smoke comes out from the kitchen. Right away, we knock on the door. She was taking care of babies, cleaning, doing, and she forgot something in the oven. It can happen to older women also. I say to myself, such a young girl ran the whole house. She's ready to get married, this girl already. Run the house. Prepare everything for Shabbat. Go take a girl from Beverly Hills, 12 years old. Tell her, darling, this Shabbat you do everything on your own. You're baking chalot, you're making all the salads, you're making the gefilte fish, you're doing everything, you're changing diapers, you mop the floor, you put the tablecloth. You might as well kill me, she said. Why don't you just kill me and save yourself the speech? Right? It's not her fault. She grew up in a nice atmosphere. No one ever obligated her to clean. Do you know one American kids besides mine that cut the grass?
How old are the kids?
When they're young. Everyone has an amigo. ¿Cómo está, señor? Oh, amigo. Yalla, cut the grass, the lawn. Moishi, cut the grass. Cut the grass. Come on, Abba, it's only $50. Don't be cheap. It's not about being cheap. It's about making you a human being, not a bum. The more we spoil you, the more we will destroy you for the rest of your life. Very obvious. Very obvious. What do you think? Time ran out. I just want to finish the last line for today. The answer is to control your actions. He has the knowledge and the da'at. But to accept criticism, not yet. Either 16, 17, 18, that's the range.
So today is different, you say?
Today it's even more than that.
So that argument.
Well, but we're not allowed to change. If we were allowed to change, we would have to change bar mitzvah to at least 20 years old. We have to stick to the rules. What can we do? But really, reality, if it was up to me, in a second I would not hesitate. I would change the age of bar mitzvah to 20 in America and 17 in Israel. In America, 20, for sure. Look at 13 years old kids and tell me if they're ready to be a man. All day play Game Boys. Abba, did you hear what? What? LeBron had such a basket. Who is LeBron? Oh, you don't know what you're missing. He's going to be now Talmid Yeshiva, this guy. 2 or 3 Mishnayot he barely knows. 13 years old, no bar mitzvah. Has to get up on his own, has to come to learn, has to have chevrutot, has to learn all day in yeshiva, has to help, to be mature, to take care of his own clothes. Who are you joking with? How do you think the Israeli becomes mature?
Army.
Only the army. Until the age of the army, everyone is a spoiled rat. As soon as they come to the army 1 month in, you don't recognize them. Psh, everything changed. From having hair, you know, and all the pink shirts and the perfume and the cream and the manicure and pedicure, all of a sudden you have a Hezbollah warrior. Itzik from Shengin became Ahmed. Wow, look at him, became a man. He ironing his own clothes, he's packing on his own. Everything he managed. He learned that to switch buses. He knows how to open a bank account all of a sudden. He now knows how to look at the map. Before the army, he ever knew what a map is. How to go on a bus and to switch in another bus and to come to the south or to the north. The army, there's nothing you can do. You're not going to become a man, you go to jail. Choose. Do you know how many parents, Jewish parents, send their kids to the army here to save them from drugs? Instead of rehab, they send them to the army. Why? Over there, Mr. Jackson and Williams, 7 feet, like this. Hey, you Jew boy, stand over here. If you're going to say one more word, we're going to bury you, you're alive. No, I'm sorry. What are you going to do? You're going to mess with him? Did you see in the Marines how they train the soldiers? I saw one time a 1-minute video. I don't know how they don't become crazy. You stand like this, and the commander comes and screams and curses you for 1 minute. You and your mother and who knows who. Ta, 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 ta. Yes, sir. Your mother is like this. Yes, sir. Your father is like this. Yes, sir. 2 months over there. What happened to the nice, beautiful home with the chandeliers and the Persian rugs? It's all history. He became a man. That's it. Different life. Look at life different. We understand life is not a picnic. Today, most of the Jewish boys and girls, they live in a picnic. And then their parents call the rabbi. Rabbi, talk to him. He never comes in time to work. I opened him a business. I invested hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look at him. He's a prima donna. Of course he is. He's your product. What did you want? You want to show off? He was 17. You bought him a nice Maserati. Now you expect him to be a good husband? I know it's hard to hear. And I know there's many people at home that would listen to it that will feel offended. Because they buy their kids all these things. They look at it as a direct attack at them. But it's not a direct attack at anyone. We're not mentioning names and I don't even have any name on my mind. It's general criticism. We make mistakes, all of us, with no exception, and then we eat what we cook. And that's what life is all about. So, after 16 to 17 to 18, the kid, he understands the criticism and he absorbs it correctly. Before that, don't waste your time. Build his confidence. Don't give him too much confidence to be a Mr. Show-Off. He thinks the whole world is here to serve him. That's also dangerous. He has to know the balance. And Bezrat Hashem, we're going now on a long break. 5 weeks from now we'll be back. Please follow on my website on events. DivineInformation.com, click on events, you will see when we'll be back here. Remember, 5 weeks from now. I want to remind you, the best investment that you can do is ordering CDs online and giving them to every Jew or even everyone, family, relatives, anyone you know, neighbors, people that works with you. It's an obligation. It's not maybe yes, maybe not. It's an obligation of every Jew. Since we cannot rebuke everyone and start having hours on conversation to make them Shomer Shabbat, the minimum we can do is just spend $1 on a person from our Maaser money. Anyway, we have to give 10%. We must. It's not ours. 10% from the income. Just take your 10% and give it, buy order CDs, $1 each, and give them to people. The purpose of life changed the life of thousands of people. Thousands. Literally thousands of emails I got over it. People became Shomer Shabbat from that film. Same thing, Torah and Science. Same thing, Life After Death. Same thing, CD number 1. Same thing, the purpose of the Path to the Just series. Pirkei Avot series. This is CDs that Baruch Hashem changed the life of so many thousands of Jews and non-Jews. It brought back to religion people that used to be very frum and they became goyim. And it brought them back, whether it was Hasidish or Litvish or who knows what. Yes. So why do you skip such an opportunity? Why? It's very easy. DivineInformation.com, order CDs. If you don't have time to give, we'll give. We give. Just before you came here, I came here at 7:45. One guy learner from Brooklyn came here to pick up 1,000 CDs in Russian. He's going to go this week in Brighton Beach, Manhattan Beach. He's going to give 1,000 CDs. 1,000 CDs going to make at least 20, 30, 50 Shomrei Shabbat. What do you think? Each CD has 30 hours of lectures in Russian, Torah and Science, Life After Death, Suffering. We made this Russian collection. Beautiful audio, full of, you know, people still speak to me in Russian in Rigo Park. People come to me, spasiva, speak to me in Russian. I saw you speaking Russian. I said, no, I mute my voice. It's not really me. Somebody speaks, you understand the point? The point is working. That's the bottom line. I always say with success, you don't argue. You can say, I disagree with your method, I disagree with your style, my style is different. Bottom line, everybody cares what are the results. And nobody has results like these CDs in a history. No one. I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, come to me, I'll show you how many thousands of Baalei Tshuva we make every year. Multiplied by 23 years, it's more than 150,000 Jews that got saved.
So what's the percentage-wise? For example, 1,000 CDs?
To tell you exact percentage is hard because the percentage is different by places, by people, by nationalities. It's very hard to know. Sometimes educated people, when they see Torah and Science, immediately they get the point. People that are not so into science, it won't be as effective to them. For them, the purpose, the Path to the Just series will be more productive because it's very strong awakening. It's awakening. You don't need to be a super intelligent to understand that series. Well, it makes you religious. So the idea is some CDs work differently on different people. But one thing for sure, it works. It's a game of number. You put many flyers on cars for suit. People buy one, get one free. Buy 2, get 1 free. You put thousands of flyers, thousands, 10 people showed up. They bought each one or 2 or 3 suits. You made your monthly income. 10 flyers. Thousands of them went to the garbage. 10 customers came, you made $20,000 profit this month. Without the flyers, anyone would come? No one would come. We flood as much as we can with CDs. Now we're going to make another 500,000 in Israel. We made 100,000, then we made 1 million, and now there's so much demand. We're making another 500,000.
How much is the cost in Israel? Is it cheaper than Israel?
In Israel, it's cheaper than here, yes.
No, than China. Remember you said
China. When you order from China 1 million CDs, of course it's cheaper. We don't have money to keep ordering millions of CDs. You have to put $100,000 down or more. It's not easy. Be'ezrat Hashem, now I'm going to be in Israel for the whole month. Hopefully we'll raise money. We have a guy, Yoel, tzaddik, 1,000,000% tzaddik. He lives for one, everywhere I go, no matter hours. He comes, he stands with a booth all night. People give him donations, he collects all the donations, he gives for the CDs. Nothing, he doesn't want to take percentage, nothing. He gives his time every night. He's a married person. His wife say, go. Maybe we'll save tonight another 10 Jews.
wow.
another 5, another 10. If all the Jews would be like my team in Israel, in 1 year we would make half of the Jewish nation Shomrei Shabbat. 1 year. If everyone would have the heart like the team that Hashem sent me, I have between 20 and 30 volunteers.
Do you have team in Tel Aviv?
Huh?
Do you have team in Tel Aviv?
I have team all over. One in Ramle, one in Tel Aviv, one in South, one in, everyone has his job. One is driving around and doing one organizing the lecture. One is in charge of one Facebook page. One is in charge of another one. One is cutting videos and editing. One is making the films. 3 that makes the films. You need people. What do you think? You don't build an empire without people. One person cannot do anything.